Hello, everyone out there. Welcome to OES Global's third video podcast
Has
episode.
It been 3 already?
It's actually
Wow.
103, but
Wow,
yeah,
okay,
it's
awesome. Okay.
episode 3 here, 103.
Okay.
So today we're joined with Melissa, and we're going to be going over another brand that OES Global has in its portfolio of brands. We're going to be talking about the workhorse today. We're going to be talking none other than traffic cones for less, or TCFL, as sometimes we like to call it in the office. It's a part of the OES lineup. They are leaning into construction and road work, and it's crazy hot out there. So, like I said, I want to talk about how this might be the most literally named company in the entire family of brands. So, for everyone hearing that name for the first time, what is Traffic Cones for Less, and what does it actually do?
Well, Jake, I'm so glad you asked. Okay, and by the way, I still have my orange traffic cone fingernails.
Absolutely.
Exactly. I love traffic cones, and I know it's a weird thing to say that you love traffic cones, but Traffic Cones for Less is a company that obviously, well, by name, actually sells traffic cones for less, and it was founded on that principle. It's founded on folks ordering enough to really get a great value to pass along those manufacturers direct pricing, but it's really evolved into a whole bunch more. So not only do we sell traffic cones for less, which we do, but we also customize in ways that have really created a whole new branding opportunity in the industry. We have Pantone matched cones. We have Pantone matched cones, for companies like Tiffany's. We have done purple FedEx colored cones. We are working on some brown National Park Series kind of cones, which are really awesome to kind of go with the flow of a national park theme. We work on blinging them, the world's most expensive traffic cone, on adding different shapes and sizes, and motorcycle cones that are really manufactured to not get caught in spokes of motorcycles. So it's not just the name, literally Traffic Cones for Less, which indeed we are, but it's really evolved into a traffic cone solution company that really, I have to say, I just love working on that stuff. It's great.
That's awesome. It sounds like we're going a little cone crazy over here.
I love it. I can't tell you. I know it makes me smile.
Yeah.
I'm actually not wearing my traffic cone earrings today. I'll have to
Maybe
make sure
next
I put them
time.
on next time.
Yeah.
I know, I'm all in. So okay.
So behind the name, Traffic Cones for Less, like we're kind of we're moving it around. It's not necessarily as accurate, or you want to kind of give them a deeper understanding of what traffic cones for less actually means with the products that we sell.
Well, I mean, listen, our whole core of all the brands that we have is bringing great value. Now, great value definitely is about price, because that's obviously really important. But, we really are very focused on quality. So simply offering something really inexpensive, I mean, it's great, and we definitely value our customers' money like it's our own. We really spend a lot of time making sure that we do everything in our power to deliver great value to our customers, but really with quality too. Like, we really stand behind the JBC partnership, where a manufacturer's direct distributor of that company. We actually work directly with them on all our Pantone matching, on creating new sectors, on doing this kind of fun thing, cone ads, which is actually using the space on a cone to do some advertising or brand sponsorship for large events. That's kind of a cool thing we'll have to go over in another podcast. But it's also just figuring out, the best way to offer the best value, the best product mix, the pain point resolution for our customers, and all things sort of traffic safety, pedestrian safety, valet, parking lot, ecosystem. So very, very focused on those products. Really, we're trained, and we train our staff to be experts and masters in these products. So, and the word for less is important, but it is value. So you might find cheaper things online. There's no question. There's always people selling real junky stuff, or they don't stand behind their products, or they're selling out of their garage, or God knows where. But we're a company that really sells for less and with great quality and value.
I think that people can really appreciate that in the era of just, I need it tomorrow. I don't really care like how well it holds up, but I just need it. So it's very refreshing to know that we're going to be selling something at a great price for less, but also amazing, durable quality.
Exactly. Really
Sweet.
important because, you didn't build a brand just on selling junky stuff that people want to return. I mean, you can look at all reviews online. There's nobody saying that our products aren't top notch. I mean, it's really important for us as a company to stand behind, what we sell. So we sell great products.
Amazing. I've been at Traffic Cones for Less for a little under 2 years. And I think that before I started working here, I didn't think about traffic cones at all. But I probably, and maybe a lot of people out there, probably the majority of people out there, obviously everyone knows what a traffic cone is, but until you start looking for them, you don't really notice them. And then when you start trying to find them, you realize that they're really everywhere. So here's my theory. I think that the traffic cone is one of the most ignored, but one of the most important objects in America. And I want your thoughts and your take on that. Because I know it's been a long time since you haven't been in the traffic cone game, but for someone who's just starting to get into it, between where I was uninitiated off the street until today, like I'm seeing them almost everywhere I go, and the quality of them, the dilapidation, the colors, like what's written on them. I think that when you really start, looking for it, they're essentially everywhere.
That's so true. And I think the first podcast we went over sort of the backstory of how we got into that, and it was really Aaron Palian. Give you another shout out there, Aaron.
There you go.
Looking for some cones for his marathon, but and I didn't know anything about them either. Just like you, kind of a novice, didn't know the difference, didn't know the quality, didn't really see them. They kind of were like an unseen thing, like they are for everybody. But it's funny because every time we interview people or we bring people into the company or new hires, we're like, hey, just want to let you know that you're going to see them everywhere, and like you never notice them. You're not going to have ever seen them before, but they're going to stalk you, and now you're going to be all judgy and judgmental on the type of cones and the quality and why certain cones are where they are and why they shouldn't be, and so the randomness of it. But they really are like a value to the people that use them. I mean, they really do protect people and property. They use the right way and with the right accessories, actually do great service. I mean, they actually help you with traffic flow. They help you cordon off certain areas. They allow for pedestrian lines. They, can be used in branding and, drive-through management. They, have all sorts of different types of applications that are beyond just traffic safety. We've had people use them in art installations. Like I said, we've used them for branding opportunities, with Tiffany's. We've had folks from the Guinness Guinness Book of World Records, want our world's most expensive traffic cone, for their collection. I told you the story of NASA and wanting certain cones so they wouldn't melt out on the tarmac over there. So yeah, there's really there's a lot of applications. They really are everywhere. And, to us, it's very important that, especially in places where the cones are very present, a hotel, restaurant, country club, someplace where impressions or first impressions are really important. That entryscaping is something we spend a lot of time trying to educate people on, because it really is the first impression. And so it's a really valuable product. And, I don't know if we're going to talk about it in this one, but we are going to be doing our upcycling program, which is going to be a great...
It's coming soon. We'll leave this as a little teaser for you all.
Yeah. That's a great way to allow folks to be able to recycle or upcycle their cones, donate them to some different people, and be able to use those credits towards buying new cones. So really cool thing. We'll bring it soon.
With you mentioned that we did talk about how we got into traffic cones like a little bit in a prior episode. You can take it as far back as you want for the people who might not have watched that episode. And if you are watching this, you want to learn more, go watch the first one. But anyway, take me back to the beginning of Traffic Cones for Less. And then, where it was back then, where it might have just been traffic cones, to what it is now, where we have a lot more than just traffic cones. If you're, someone out there that's uninitiated, it's Traffic Cones for Less in the name, but we do all things traffic safety, crowd management, pretty much anything that you think that would either be in a roadway or a warehouse or at an event, or, even the people directing all the traffic with a little bit of PPE and stop slow signs and all this stuff. So how did it go from maybe just traffic cones to where we have this pretty large encompassing warehouse or like collection of traffic safety products now?
No, it's a really good question, and maybe the name Traffic Cones for Less was a little short-sighted, right?
I mean, it is what you do, like, great, but
right,
TCFL,
well, yeah,
maybe?
We should put that out in a podcast, because we thought about like an overarching brand of TCFL, which would allow us to lean in more to some of these extravagant things that we do, like the world's most expensive traffic cones, like a little odd to have for a company called Traffic Cones for Less. But anyway, we'll bring that up in another episode. But it really starts by listening to the customers and the pain points that they have, and the requests, the understanding of the industry, the pain points in the industry, the lack of any clear ownership of this segment. In the marketplace, there is really nobody that actually owns this sort of traffic safety, facility safety, signage sector. It's like kind of a crapshoot between the Grangers and the U-Lines and the Fastenals and MSC, and like there's a lot of people that sell products like that, Home Depot, but like nobody really owns it. Nobody goes into the nuances of the pain points of why should you use this, why not that, what kind of signage, how can you brand these things, what other signs go with this, what about like some crowd management, barricades, stanchions, roll-up signs, pedestrian crosswalks, this ecosystem. But I will say we're very mindful about not diluting our brand by adding on products that do not fit into our ecosystem of traffic safety. Because when you call Traffic Cones for Less, or TCFL, but if you call Traffic Cones for Less, you're calling a company of experts in these products. We have these products here. Everyone has a tape measure on their desk. We have a warehouse full of these products. You need to know the size of this, or what type of material that's made of, or how fast can you actually ship this, or can you do this, or can you make this, or is this available? We actually have all those products here. We teach our people to understand them all, to understand all the nuances. And if we don't know, we have a full list of resources that we will call immediately. We will find out. We really do pride ourselves in being masters of these products. So if they really do matter, you really do need them, or you really want to buy from an expert, this is one of the reasons that we've actually done so well, is that, sure, I mean, a lot of people buy things from Granger and whatever. They have lots of, national contracts, but you really need something that you need to really understand the products, the implications, the customization of it, the dimensions, the weight, the complicated logistics, whatever it might be that requires just a little bit more than a few items, add into your cart, that's where we come in. That's the TCFL, or Traffic Cones for Less difference.
Yeah, and for those that don't know, there are like millions of different combinations of these traffic safety products that can be used in tandem for any number of things. So sometimes it's not even necessarily what the product is, it's the knowledge that goes behind it to helping this customer pick and choose exactly what it is that they need. And every single use case is going to be different, whether you're doing something on the side of a highway, or you're building a new building, or you're doing lawn care, or you're trimming trees. Like anything that's involving people with trying to keep them safe or trying to keep them away for something, all of these products are going to be used in a different way. And I think that one of our biggest strong suits that you kind of touched on were the people that we have when you call us. We have like our product experts here who, are masters of like learning, hey, like this is to be used at this, type of intersection, or on this type of roadway. It's at this height for a reason, or it's this amount of weight for a specific reason. If you are someone who needs to plan this, or maybe you don't exactly know everything, like we are here to help you. Like let us be like the brain power, and let us just make all of those decisions and make them super easy for you. One of the people I wanted to talk about specifically was Amy. She spent years as a travel agent, apparently, before she came to work at OES Global and Traffic Cones for Less.
Yeah.
When COVID shut down, travel kind of, went out the window. So she took a gamble and joined Traffic Cones for Less. And now, just like we're talking about, she's the person that a city government or like a city official can call, and they say, here's my budget, what exactly do I need? And I just want to know, from someone who was completely out of the field to now she's like someone that people can call on and, trust with the decisions that she's, recommending to them. What does that look like maybe specifically for her? And then what does that look like for any amount of talent that could come into OES Global, into all of the brands here?
No, I love that. I mean, who amongst us, myself included, would actually come in with the knowledge of these products. And that's on a separate note, but, so the way we like to hire folks here is just hiring really great people that really are looking for a great opportunity to join a great company, build a career, and just, are great, warm, friendly, curious, excited, really like top tier folks, like the products and the systems and all of that. We can teach them. We give them the tools. Sorry about that with my phone there. Give them the tools, give them, the knowledge base. We spend years and years, developing all of that with our folks there. So no, I think that's awesome. I think, you hire the right people, you hire great people, you teach them what they need to know. And if you've got somebody that's just a sponge and curious and loves what they do, this kind of stuff's easy. So it's awesome.
So what did Amy figure out about traffic safety that turned her into the expert that now customers call her and ask for her by name? Like, how did she figure all this out?
Well, no, first of all, she's just a great person, super smart, really loves working here. I mean, it was fortuitous that, we knew each other. Hold on one second. Sorry, I'm going to turn this down right here if I can, or I'm going to put this in the drawer.
All good.
All right, let's see. We don't need that kind of thing here. And it speaks to actually like the kind of company we are, because I actually knew her for a long time, and it's not like she was looking to join a traffic safety or traffic cone company. I mean, that would be a big stretch for somebody that really was a travel agent for many, many years. But being the kind of company that we are, and we love bringing on great people, and we love taking risks on people and offering opportunities. We have a lot of great stories about, some great success stories here. But I asked her because I knew she obviously wasn't working, and because it was COVID and nobody was traveling, and this was obviously difficult for her. And I said, hey, let's give it a shot. I think you're a great person. You're super smart. I can teach you the products. Just, let's come and give it a while. And so, what is it, like 4 or 5 years later or whatever? I don't know.
I mean, longer than I've been here.
I don't know, long time. Yeah, since the very beginning of COVID. So,
Gotcha.
It's awesome. It's a great story.
Okay, so let's say a contractor calls Traffic Cones for Less, and Amy, a seasoned veteran now, she picks up the phone. She is someone who's actually held the product. She's trained with the vendors every month. We have lunch and learns. They come in and they instill all the knowledge about the products that we sell. How is all of that different for the customer than if they were going to call like a big box store and just kind of have like a regular customer service person on the phone? Like, how is it, like, why is having lunch and learns with the manufacturer of our products, like, how does that actually benefit, like, not only maybe the customer service team, but how does that trickle on down to the customer?
Well, I mean, I think it speaks to our culture and our desire to really be this resource and pain point mitigation kind of company. So first of all, developing the relationships, direct relationships with these manufacturers, and quite frankly, the fact that they're willing to fly in, they're willing to come here and train, our team, spend their dollars, teach our folks, about these products, because they want to have their products represented with our folks in the right way, and then, build in a resource. So if there's a question they have, or they need to call in a favor, hey, I need this super fast, I need, this, I need this customized, I need, something that's out of the box thinking, we have the resources and the people there. So, I mean, that helps, for sure. But it also helps that, we're spending time to teach this very narrow product line, because like I said, if you're going to a big box store or Grainger, I mean, what does Grainger have? Like, I don't know, 10 million SKUs or something? It's just not possible for them, even though they might be great people, and there's certainly a great company, nothing wrong with a company like that. But, how could they really know all this information? They're going to know what's, in their catalog or whatever, and certainly maybe they would call or ask or whatever, but we have that information right here. We've already been trained on it. We have the products here. We know we sell these things day in and day out. So there's just a huge difference. If you're buying something and it matters. If you're buying one or two of something, maybe it doesn't matter. But if you're buying something that you need to make sure you've got it right, or you need to get it where you need it, or you need something complicated, or you need a whole bunch of it, that's when you want to like deal with a company that specializes in something. It's like going to a general doctor, or going to like a brain surgeon, right? Like when you need a brain surgery, like you want a brain surgeon.
You want a specialist.
Yeah, exactly. So
one of the things that maybe the uninitiated doesn't know is that Traffic Cones for Less and all of the OES Global brands.
Who would the uninitiated? Like,
so
who is that?
These podcasts can reach anyone. They might have never heard of You, me, OES Global,
I know, but
Trafficones for Less.
anybody wanting to learn about our products is going to be have some initiative. They can't be
But this
okay.
could be found by like a 13-year-old boy in Venezuela. You never know who these videos could be
Okay,
viewed
he
by.
will become,
And he
yes,
will.
he will.
When the time is right, when
okay.
he gets into that procurement level role and he's buying
Okay.
traffic cones for Tesla Venezuela, he'll
Okay.
remember us
Okay,
for
got
this
you.
moment
And
right
I
here.
love our Tesla cones that we make
Exactly.
for them. Very, very picky about the logo, as you can imagine.
Of course.
We had to get it right, so yeah.
But anyway,
Okay.
for those that might not be as savvy to
Okay.
Traffic Cones for Less,
Yes, okay.
we are specialists and we
Yeah.
specialize in a couple different things, but namely in bulk. So Traffic Cones for Less, and as well as the other brands, like we try to do B2B wholesale, pass along the savings to the customer, just like how we talked in the Hydration Depot episode, selling it in bulk. Like when we partner with JVC or these other Cortinas or other safety manufacturers, we try and pass along all those savings to the consumer.
Correct.
So by able to passing along those savings to the person and then having the logistics, with sometimes within a week, we're delivering these things all across the country. We're working on, Canada, Mexico. Like, how is all of that behind the scenes? Like, a customer just comes to our site, they click, they want to add 445 traffic cones to their cart, and then it shows up 5 days later.
Right.
But behind the scenes, like, these aren't.
And by the way, it could show up the next day.
It very well could.
Yeah, we just worked on some really cool changes to our site too, to allow people, even the super complicated, which are like silk screens, where we've actually got to burn screens and actually put them in our custom silk screen machine, because silk screening traffic cones is not an easy thing. You think about,
they're not flat.
They're not flat,
Yep.
and silk screens are flat, so we can't tell you exactly how we do it, but we actually have special machinery just to silk screen traffic cones. But even that, we're like a find a way company, so we have new language on our website like about that. But the truth is, being a JBC, which by the way, they are the largest manufacturer of traffic cones in the world. They make the best traffic cones in the world. I mean, they are UV protected, they're injection molded, the color goes all the way through and through. They use great premium Orifol 3M reflective material. They custom cut their collars. They're tested, they're vetted, they're used by Caltran. This is the preferred traffic cone on the planet. They really
we'll call it the Rolls-Royce.
It is the Rolls-Royce, but it's also listen, Rolls-Royce with great value. I'm going to say that you're getting a premium cone that's going to last a lifetime. You're not going to see one of those. I don't think this is even your question anymore. Some of those sorry ass traffic cones there that used to be orange and now they're kind of faded, yellowy or cracking, or take a look around. You're going to see those ones with the collars peeling off or all dirty and nasty, or like the little ripples of PVC that drips down the bottom of them. There's some really bad looking traffic cones out there. You start paying attention, you go, there is a difference. Hard to tell if you don't really pay attention, but you start looking at them, it's like night and day, the value that you get by getting, and they cost basically the same. I mean, there's really no difference in price. It's just that, the reason we're able to do that by offering really, really great Rolls-Royce cones at a price that average cones would be, is that we really do encourage people to buy them the right way, so we can pass along all those savings, not shipping cones here then shipping them back out to you, just buying enough so that you get them straight from the manufacturer, pass those wholesale savings on to the end user. It's really a great formula. It's been extremely successful.
So when they get those savings passed along to them, not only on the product themselves, but also we have a lot of free shipping bundles. I wanted to talk about OES Global as a logistics, powerhouse, essentially. Like with all the traffic cone stuff, sometimes even the hydration stuff weighs more than the traffic cone stuff, because water and bottles and pops and all this weighs a lot. For all this stuff going all over the country and possibly into new countries in bulk, how has learning about how logistics has shaped and transformed these businesses from maybe 10 years ago when these first started to now we're shipping, $5,000 worth of product halfway across the country, and like what you said, in maybe under a day?
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. See, I think that was part of the other question too, because we really do. Listen, if somebody really, really needs it, we're going to find a way. I mean, we really do. Spend a lot of time. making sure that we have warehouses all across the country, that we have partnerships with vendors that will, maybe put our orders ahead of other folks just because, we're so loyal and dedicated that we need to call in a favor that they'll do it for us, so that we really do, maximize our penetration into the markets that we sell. So you can really count on us to, go above and beyond. That's sort of our ethos. But the logistics part is super important. I mean, that is, the key to business these days. Shipping is expensive. I mean, I know people think, free shipping is free shipping, but that somebody's paying for it. The freight drivers aren't really shipping for free, and gas costs a lot of money. So it's our ability to really maximize, the bundling, the packaging, the palletizing, the truckloads, spending an inordinate amount of time looking at how can we pass along the best value to the customer in order to get it the logistically closest location to the easiest location to the best way that they can get it to the different freight carriers and options. And, we have a full team that just works on logistics because it is so important. And it's important, not just because obviously, we want to be efficient, but it's important that getting back to our whole ethos as a company, that if we're really trying to offer value to our customers, that we are going to shop, the living daylights out of these things to make sure that we can pass that along. You're not going to get like a stock answer like, oh, hey, or auto calculate some kind of crazy shipping because it's easier. We're really going to go to bat to make sure we're passing along those savings to our customers. So we really spend a lot of time on that. It's very important to us.
Yeah. Another one of the things that I would say is like a very key differentiator for Traffic Cones for Less is like, we like to call it color coordinated crowd control.
Ooh, yeah.
We have a lot of different things out there besides like maybe what you're picturing a traffic cone to look like. It might be orange. Come on in. We're joined by LJ, procurement.
Come on.
We'll get him on camera one of these days. Don't worry about it.
Okay, all right.
But no, we've got the classic safety orange where everyone's kind of familiar with traffic cones. And then maybe a little, come on in. Say hi to the world. Say hi to the world.
We're on a podcast here. Okay, I'll get you later there, LJ. Okay.
See, it never stops over here. We're constantly moving. There's never a dull moment here at OES Global. Okay. Anyway, safety orange is probably the number one color that everyone thinks of for any traffic cone, or sometimes even barriers and other traffic safety devices out there. Then you've got your lime safety green, which maybe a couple people have seen.
Yeah.
But then for Traffic Cones for Less, not only do we have like the widest array and options in terms of colors, we also will do any color that you can conceive of. We can Pantone match colors, and then maybe I'll just let you start with the very cool story that we did on our like Pantone matched Tiffany color cones.
Right.
And then, you can talk a little bit about why we did that, how we did that, how we can do that for you, and then all the other different types of colors that we have on everything. And why would anyone care about having all these, traffic safety devices in any color other than the orange?
Right. Yeah, no, for sure. Well, I mean, just go back to branding. So it goes back to traffic cones can be used obviously for more than just traffic, right? So actually another name for traffic cones, a lot of people call them safety cones, right? So if there's the Tiffany story. So the Tiffany stories, they were really opening up their flagship in New York City. It was a few years ago. And they wanted to section off, the front of it on Fifth Avenue to have more of a presence. And, they found these Tiffany blue cones that we actually had created, but we actually really didn't create it for them because, to be honest, you needed 10 pallets of them, and it took about 6 months to do that because we spent a lot of time back and forth with the color and the swatching, and then they have to be manufactured, and they do come from Taiwan. So JBC is a Taiwanese company, so they had to be imported from Taiwan. So this is not a quick process, by the way. I mean, they are, but it's a very detailed and it's a very specific process, and we really do make sure that color matching is done correctly, because it is not as simple as Pantone matching, for print, because Pantone matching for print is ink on paper. This is, using PVC and material that's put into a injection molded machine, and the results may or may not exactly be, the exact Pantone match. Like it would just be like on ink on paper. But anyway, so we spent a lot of time back and forth to make sure of that. This was actually done for actually a company called Nomi Health, I believe it was, and they were a COVID sort of company. I'm not going to say COVID company. I think they were doing COVID testing. Obviously, COVID testing, like back then, was a huge thing. And by the way, there was a spec which was great for our business. I mean, I'm sorry we had COVID and all that, but 300 traffic cones per COVID testing site was actually the spec that was handed down by the health department, I guess, or whatever. So there were actually
social distancing.
Yeah, well, but it was more like the lines
Right.
to go into the COVID testing centers, that each COVID testing center had to have 300 traffic cones.
Interesting.
But anyway, they wanted to take that up a notch and actually Pantone match that for them. That was their colors. It just happened to be like the Tiffany blue. I don't know what the actual true name, the Pantone match or the Pantone color is for Tiffany blue. It's the sort of generic name that we'll call it Tiffany blue. And everyone obviously knows what that color is. But anyway, so it just so happened that we had made this for them and we had them in stock. We actually are the creator of that turquoise teal.
It is
Tiffany.
a Traffic Cones for Less exclusive.
Well, I think other people are kind of like
they might have started after us.
Yeah, they've hopped on the Traffic Cones for Less bandwagon, but that's okay. We created it.
If you don't have, imitation is the most sincere form of flattery.
Exactly.
So
and
if they're copying us,
you want people, right? You want them chasing us.
Exactly.
Like we're innovators. But anyway, so that's how that story started. So we actually had that made, for them. We did the same thing with the FedEx, purple cones. And actually, we even created red traffic cones, like this very specific red traffic cones that goes along with our full spectrum of 28-inch cones. There wasn't actually a red traffic cone available in that, and the ones that were sort of orangey. They weren't really red, so this is like a rich red. And it's funny when you talk Pantone matching, like that's why you have Pantone colors, because if you say red, there's like 100 different types of red, or 1,000 different types of red. Like, so you got to make sure you have the right red. Like you were in a blue shirt, but that is not Tiffany blue. That is like, I don't know, aquamarine or something. And then you've got your water thing there, and that's a different color.
This is Gatorade Cool Blue.
Exactly. Yeah. So anyways, there's a lot of different color variants and variations. So why was I telling you that? So then we did the same thing with the purple for FedEx, and we also created, which seemed kind of weird, but we created black traffic cones. And you're like, oh my God, black traffic cones, not really the safest thing to put on the road at night, but we created them for valets because when you're valet parking, you want a more entry-scaped entrance to the valet area. Like orange looks very construction, utilitarian, and some of the other colors didn't really fit that sort of elegant vibe. So we actually created black traffic cones with the reflective collars, obviously for a little bit of safety there. We actually can even change those. We have Aviation, and you can change the collars. So you can do like black with red collars or black with green collars, yellow collars. We've done purple cones with yellow collars, for some of like the sports teams or for Mardi Gras and all that kind of stuff. So a lot of kind of cool variations of Pantone matching, color coordinated crowd control, different kind of configurations. Actually going to come up with some Halloween themed traffic cones
Orange and
black. Because there's a lot of haunted houses and people that do all these kind of events for Halloween. So to take that crowd control with a little bit of thematic jack-o'-lantern style stuff, that'll be coming soon too. Pretty exciting.
Very, very cool.
Yeah.
So key takeaway here, traffic cones don't have to be orange and they don't have to be boring. Like if you have a logo, if you have a brand, if you've invested time into building something for your business and you want that to extend, whether you're doing, like a remodeling of your business or your business is construction, you want to imagine all of the cones that you have set up or all of the barricades or anything that you have that's marking, you're working, you're doing something. Essentially, all of that is just, free advertising. If you're going to, have that out there, you might as well either put your logo on it or have it be in your logo, have it be a part of your world. Don't have it just be, accessory to the fact. If you can incorporate that in, maybe by the third or fourth time someone passes that, they're like, what is that green traffic cone? Like, why is it green? And you get them thinking, and then all of a sudden now you're in the heads of all these people. So, they are traffic safety devices and they all are very utilitarian in the right settings. But, we're trying to show you the other use cases for all these traffic safety products. They can be branding tools. They can be little tiny billboards. I mean, there's the imagination and the use cases for these can run as wild as, whatever you think that they can be used for. One of the things that I wanted to talk about in terms of like where we think that these might help and where these might kind of fit in, these color coordinated, crowd control devices. We know it's August 4th right now, so we're getting ready to go back to school. So a lot of people that we have seen will order, maybe 7 to 8 different colors of traffic cones or different delineators with signs or some sort of traffic device in 7 or 8 different colors. And then those are going to be their either drop-off lanes or carpool lanes or pickup lanes. I just wanted you to kind of maybe talk a little bit about what schools could also use color coordinated crowd control for, and then like what kind of, like why are we the pioneers of creating this need for, schools in specific right now, but like, a little bit deeper behind that, like, the traffic cone is only as, utilitarian as you think of it. Like we've been able to think of countless uses for these traffic control devices.
Oh yeah, 100%. And that's a perfect, example is the school lines, because, schools, whether it's, bus lanes or, like I said, different kind of pickup lanes or times, they use traffic cones, either like 18-inch or 28-inch traffic cones in a series of colors that will, be identifiers to, which lane, which place, which drop off, which bus do you get on. And so we actually created on our site, we have 4 different types of products. We have 18-inch cones with collars, 18-inch cones without collars, 28-inch cones with collars, and 28-inch cones without collars, and a full series of, I think there's like 8 or 9 different standard colors that are on there, that it's easy for somebody to go on there and order 22222 or 66666 or 5555 or 10 of these, 4 of these, so you can put them together in one order rather than sort of hunting and pecking on the site to, find blue cones, find green cones, find yellow cones, find white cones. We put them all together in like one item that'll allow you to kind of mix and match, the colors that you want for your particular, application. So, and it is really popular in schools right now. I mean, it is definitely something that gets used, and we are looking actually for some folks to send us some videos or pictures of how they actually use them. So I think that'd be kind of cool to see the actual use case for that. But we just know by looking at the orders that that's actually what people are doing with them, and they use them for other things too, marathons and events, and different types of concerts and things, or different access VIP entries, and there's a whole variety of different. In fact, I don't think I shared with you, I think we had to make special cones for Beyonce when she came down here, and she was performing at the Miami Marlins Stadium. It wasn't called the Marlins Stadium back then, but it was a very specific, call from that stadium that she wanted specific like new cones to make sure that, I don't know, maybe it was for her. So
if they're good enough for Beyonce, people. So
she could see them. And we never talked about Luke Combs. By the way, go on and look up Luke Combs traffic cones. Like he posted that on his Facebook page and his feeds of the traffic cones we made for him.
So that's what I was going to segue into next. So not only do we have like the widest variety of colors on all of our traffic devices that you can select from, we have 3 different types of customizations. You can take it even further to put on, messaging, your branding, your logos. So maybe you want to take it away. Like I know you said Luke Combs. Like what exactly was he holding, and then what are the other options that we have available?
Well, we did. That was so cool, by the way. So shout out to Luke Combs. Thank you, Luke.
Absolutely, Luke. Hey, we're always here for you.
And he loved it so much that he posted them like himself.
Organic.
Like he loved his cone. So yeah, go look that up. You'll see him pop up there holding his traffic cone. So it was like a parking lot concert. I think it was actually part of BMI. I think that must be his maybe management company or whatever that was hosting this parking lot concert, and I think it was in Nashville. And with this really cool logo that they had created that said it was like in white with black and his name. And well, you have to go online and look it up, but it's cool. And
or you know what? Here's a perfect time. Michael, our editor, is going to show you what it looks like right here. So here, boom. Okay. There's the Luke Combs cone for you.
Okay, with like Luke Combs holding it.
Exactly. He can put it right here.
Yeah, it was
awesome.
Be
right there.
Yeah. But it was really, really cool, and it did a really nice job. I mean, of course, they had professional artwork, but we were able to execute it, and obviously, he loved it so much, he posted it himself. So, yeah, that was
super
great.
Cool. So what we have available to the public right now is with not any, but most of our products, you can customize them with stencil, silkscreen, or full color spectrum artwork.
Correct.
And then you can kind of take it away and kind of explain maybe best use cases and what they are and how exciting they are. So we've got 3 different customization options.
We do, and all of them we do in-house, and actually even have more because we have the ability to print on the collars themselves.
That's right.
And we have the ability to print on the collars and removable collars, so you can use them for branding for events, for sponsorship, for messaging, park here, whatever. So that's under our cone ad. So it's actually advertising on cones is kind of a really cool thing that is great for people that rent cones or marathons where they're renting cones and they don't own the cones. They just want to pop something on top. So we can put that link on there too. But so the stenciling is the most basic. It's going to be something rather utilitarian. It's really easy to read. A lot of times cities and municipalities use it. So if it was Miami-Dade Water Department, a lot of times they'll put MDWD on there. So Miami-Dade Water Department. It helps their cones not walk away. It helps maybe interdepartmental pilfering or people borrowing cones that aren't theirs, in other departments. So it's a little bit of brand identification. Kind of keeps your cones very inexpensive to do. We actually have free stencil options on our site. We love doing stencils, and we do all those in-house all day long. Silk screening is going to give you, it's a one color option as well. But it's going to give you an option to have much finer detail on the artwork. So if you really were not looking for that sort of stencil font that has those little lines and separations, that's kind of what a stencil is, very utilitarian. You can have full fancy logos and graphics and things on there. A lot more flexibility in the quality of the artwork. On the collars themselves, that could be, full color, any logo, any words, any totally customizable to your heart's desire there. So lots of different capabilities with that allow the full spectrum of just artwork capabilities. I'm printing directly on the collars, and then that full color spectrum that we created as well. That also is something we do in house. It allows for full vinyl wraps. We actually did a full vinyl wrap for the TWA hotel in New York. I think it's in JFK. We took that logo and wrapped it all the way around. That was really awesome with the TWA logo, and very, very complicated because you're dealing with a cone and it's conical and you've got to get it to. It's
a very difficult shape.
Yeah, there's a lot of geometry involved in that, but I love that. That was great. And so we can do all sorts of colors and graphics, and we're actually working on an art series too.
Yes.
So we're going to do like an Audubon series of cones where we actually donate a portion of the money to the Audubon Society and be able to make this sort of art quality cones, limited edition, kind of like the Supreme cones that we did too. We never really mentioned.
If you all out there did not know, this humble traffic cone business has been a part of Supreme, has been a part of Anti-Social Social Club, has been a part of Tiffany's, has been a part of these ginormous multi-conglomerate brands that you probably wouldn't even thought of. But yes, like
Tesla,
Fall Winter 25, Supreme, those traffic cones, if you're familiar, Michael, you can put it up here. We weren't allowed to talk about it back then, but now they're out there and they're public. It's like, you can't ask us to make you a Supreme cone, but if you are Supreme, or if you are a similar brand who's like wanting to use like different avenues for marketing or like shock value, like we did those cones for Supreme. We've done cones for Anti-Social Social Club. So like that was something that was really cool that I got to.
We also did cones for the Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. I'm not 100%
Oh, that's
sure.
like a TV show.
Yeah, I'm not sure what they did with those. We've done for like the Tonight Show and other folks and some special guests. Well, the Beyonce cone, she didn't get any customization on it.
For sure.
But all sorts of cool stuff.
I mean, I think that it is a very interesting piece of, we won't call it plastic, but like it has so much use to it. You see them everywhere. After you watch this, you're going to start noticing them like they're the birds in the movie with Alfred Hitchcock. You know what I mean? But, maybe this will lead into like another, interesting point that I had is that, it's traffic cones for less. Most of the stuff that we have is very specific, serves like a very, protective purpose. I mean, we try and protect people and property with all the things that we sell here. But what is one product or maybe a couple products on traffic cones for less that people out there would be just as surprised to know that we carry? Similarly to how we can do custom traffic cones for Supreme, like there are some pretty interesting, products on traffic cones for less that the average person might be like, what is this doing here?
Well, we're going to talk about fleet management a little bit later, right? Or is that going to be another episode?
We can talk about it a little later.
Okay, we'll talk about it a little later. Well, I will say one of the coolest things is the diversification into like aviation safety, right? So in aviation safety being, the next time you fly, if you look out the window on the ramp down there, So that's what they call it, like where the folks are working down there, putting your luggage on, the plane and the sort of underbelly of the plane. It's called the ramp. And so we have all these ramp things down there. So we've got, they call them wingtip markers, which you never paid attention to. So it's either a traffic cone or a delineator. That's going to be placed every single time that, you land or take off. Somebody's going to be there and put that cone on either side of the wing and one by the tail. So they're always out there. So you'll see them every time now. And then we also sell what's called like a cone caddy or a delineator caddy. So these are the things that slip on top of those cones or delineators, so they can put their marshalling wands in there. Those we sell those too.
Sure do.
Wands, sell those to the Air Force, sell them to Amazon Air, FedEx Air. We sell them to American Airlines. A lot of folks, the best wands in the business. So we kind of also like incorporated the traffic safety of this very specific tarmac, ramp, GSE, which is ground support equipment, folks down there to really kind of own that space. Also really working with JetBlue and some of these other airlines on wheel chocks, which is another piece of that sort of traffic safety item. So when you land a plane, like there's no brakes on a plane, right? So next time you fly, you'll notice when they put the jet bridge up there that there really are no brakes on a plane. So they're going to put wheel chocks underneath the wheels so that when you get off your jet bridge, on your jet bridge, that the plane doesn't move and you don't fall off the plane onto the ground. So there's something holding the plane in place, which are these wheel chocks, rubber chocks that we also customize with brand logos, color rope on there. Sometimes those things walk around a lot, apparently, on the ramp down there. There's different airlines taking other people's chocks. Apparently, after it snows, they all get scooped up and thrown in some big mountain. Obviously, very important to chalk the wheels of aircraft so the planes don't move. This is like mandatory. We sell a lot of those to FBOs, too, these sort of small airports, net jets, and a lot of the local, private aviation companies. So super cool. Love all those kind of neat little niche products.
That's interesting. I think like another niche that you kind of mentioned that we're already in, but trying to branch out even more in is we are supporting some of the biggest companies in the world. And, we might play like a small piece of that, but we're still, we're up there with the big guys. Some of the biggest fleets in the country are running based off of some of the products that we're helping them run with. That's anything from FedEx, Amazon, Cisco, US Foods. We supply, some of their fleets with, like you mentioned for Amazon Air, we do the marshalling ones. For some of the actual trucking fleets, we have cone mount cradles, and we can have, triangle warning kits and all these different things. Most people have no idea that a company like Traffic Cones for Less is standing behind names this big. How did Traffic Cones for Less become the safety partner for fleets that are doing, seems like an endless amount of business?
Well, I mean, it kind of goes back to, the same thing that I said, before, is about owning these segments, taking these pain points away from the buyers of these products. Since there's no real clear other provider of these products, this is our goal, to actually be this number one company in this space, because it really does have a lot of pain points in it for people that are looking for mounts for their cones. And each, if you're going to put them in your truck, like you don't really want to throw them in the back of your truck, because maybe the truck's in a puddle and you're delivering food and the cones are really super dirty, or they leave them somewhere, they're not mounted properly, they're not, they don't have the right cones. It's a safety concern for utility companies, utility trucks, Comcast and, FP&L and all these big Duke Energy, they all carry cones on their trucks. So kind of listening to these safety managers, these companies that are dealing with these products, creating solutions, whether it's bundles, the carriers, and whether it's informational videos on how to install them, on finding solutions. We're actually working with American Airlines on a different type of cone mount for like one of their luggage conveyors. They had some kind of issue with some kind of, I don't know, somebody got injured with the kind that they had there, and so they were actually creating another version of that for them. So we love special projects. We love taking on things that solve people's problems and kind of really owning the space. So it's cool. It's cool that they found us. And to answer your question too, I mean, we're really very organic in the way people find us. So we actually present these products out onto the web. We speak to these particular folks, and then they find us because we're answering, the questions and the issues that they have.
That's super cool. we've talked about a lot of different people that we support. And I think it would be interesting because all of the things that we have been talking about, I think everyone can kind of understand, traffic cones, all the products that they sell, what they might be using it for. And we have a whole slew of customers, and they're all very, very different. We've got landscapers, city, Department of Transportations, universities, fire departments, events. We have all of these different types of customers that are all kind of like coming together and under like one like marketplace, so to speak. Whose safety are you actually protecting out there, and that the people never stop to think about? Like, what are some of the ones that maybe people don't know, like the ones we haven't mentioned, that it's like, hey, we're protecting their people and property too. You just have to stop and kind of look around to see us.
Wow. That's a really good question. Well, we won the bid for Fort Lauderdale Airport. So for the stanchions, so those line dividers, and the TSA line. So we're actually creating that safety, I guess, there, keeping the line in order.
Yeah.
We actually also won another bid for Miami-Dade County. So the Miami International Airport, the Miami Seaport, every police department, police precinct in Miami-Dade County, will get their traffic cones for us. There's, oh my God, there's so many different kind of applications there that people use.
I'll kind of lead you into this question because when I first saw this order come through, I couldn't really understand what it was or why it was there.
Okay.
But we have some traffic cones for like a horse farm or like a training facility that I saw come roll through.
Oh, she's famous. What's her name? The
I'm
lady?
not exactly sure, but we're getting ready to shout you out.
We're going to shout her out. You'll put her name up.
We'll put her name up here.
She's a famous horse trainer, and I wish you would have prepared. I would have had her name, but so she wanted very specific cones for their equestrian events.
Equestrian, that's what was on there.
And it's not like the white cones that they use for these equestrian events. This is more like a training package that actually I think the product has her name on it on our site. We actually created it just for her and for her clients, so that this is what she recommended for, I think it was like jump training or something.
Now take a listen about that, ladies and gentlemen. If you have a very specific thing that you want, you call us. We will find a way to make it happen, send it to you, and then the product will have your name on it on our site.
Yeah, maybe.
I think that's just like pretty cool about what we do here is that, we have everything that you see on the website, and then, behind the scenes, we're doing things, for, companies that are as large as Amazon, and then someone as small, not as small, but like a very specific niche type thing. It doesn't matter what it is. If you have some sort of idea, or if you have something that you want to get done, like, we're constantly innovating. We're constantly figuring out how to get you the solutions that you need. OES Global is a solutions company. Even though we have all of the individual brands that we've been introducing you to, OES Global is truly a solutions company. So I just think it's really cool that we have all these customers that are, being serviced and being helped through things that aren't even really like the main core drivers of the business. It's just like really cool that we're helping people with like these very not small again, but like a very specific problem that they have, and we're like figuring it out for them.
And by the way, we never even got into some of the hospitality, which I love too, because my background is from the hospitality. That's what my degree is in, so applicable to traffic safety. But Chick-fil-A and their lines, and obviously they have a lot of people going through Chick-fil-A lines, Starbucks, Del Taco, I'm trying to think of some Dunkin' Donuts, like all these different kind of companies that have different kind of crowd control issues or line dividing issues, whether it's Pantone matching or just custom branding or logoing, like we do
wayfinding on the vertical panels.
Yeah, all this kind of cool messaging and stuff that we do for all these different kind of companies in the hospitality space, which is really, really cool too.
Yeah. It's very hard to fit into an hour.
McDonald's, I mean,
exactly.
It's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot.
But there are like, if you can imagine it, like if it's something that you have in your head, give us a call. We have a team of product experts, and we have graphic designers on the premises. So even if you don't have a design ready, if you wanted to put something on a cone, on a vertical panel, on a barricade, on even like a sign, a custom sign, like we have the know-how to be able to do that, which I think is like really, really cool. one of the last things I wanted to talk about to close, we've got a fun question.
Ooh,
So a lot of
okay.
people out there, I think, maybe their first foray into traffic cones might be stealing one.
Maybe. I
I
don't
can
know.
say that when
Yeah.
I was,
Did you steal cones?
I didn't steal
No.
cones,
Okay.
plural,
Okay.
but everyone,
Okay.
you take one cone, you put it in your dorm room, you think it's funny for maybe one semester, and then you're like, get this, stinky thing out of here. But I wanted to ask, what's the single most ridiculous place that you've seen a cone show up, whether it's in the wild or, something in, movies or TV, like, they end up in some pretty weird places.
They do it. And I will say my phone is full of like, incredibly bad cones that people keep carrying around and using as safety devices, which is crazy because you're like, that doesn't even look like a cone anymore. I don't even know what color it is. Putting on top of roofs. I mean, people do a lot of like, silly things with them. Is there any place that's really crazy that I will say I'm always fascinated by just one random cone sitting like on an island, you're driving or on the road that, obviously doesn't belong there, but somehow people think because it's a cone, they can't move it. But I'm like, it's just so random. It doesn't belong here.
Yeah.
And by the way, I will say what I always notice too, which you folks are going to notice too. I see cones everywhere, like on TV and TV commercials and different kind of applications. I'm like, oh, look, cones. Yeah. So they're like everywhere. They're like going to stalk you in your sleep there.
If you watch this in its entirety and you've heard us say the word cone this many times, you'll go to sleep dreaming about cones.
Exactly.
Tonight.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, they're really kind of everywhere. And like I said, I guess the random ones that just don't belong, that somehow people think that they're like have some kind of superpowers and they need to stay there. Yeah, they'll just stay there forever. So yeah, very interesting.
Well, that's pretty much a very brief introduction and overview of Traffic Cones for Less. We've done Traffic Cones for Less. We've done Hydration Depot. Around this same time next week, we're going to be introducing you to SD2K Valet, and maybe that will be a good opportunity with your hospitality background because that is very geared towards hospitality.
That is.
So thank you all for watching. We're going to have all of the information in the links below. And then I think, unless you had anything else to add, we'll probably see you all this time next week.
Make sure you share us, right?
Absolutely.
Got to get a little,
subscribe to the
audience
channel.
going. Yeah.
Give us a like, give us a comment, and then if there are any things you want us to talk about, maybe revisit. If there's anything you've heard up to this point where you want us to answer, drop it in the comments, and then we'll get to those comments, on the next episode. These are going to come out every week, and then like Melissa said, share this, send it to as many people as you can, and we'll see you this time next week. Talk about SD2K Valet.
Awesome.
All right.
Great job, Jake. All right.